Welcome to Exhibition. And hello, Miranda Skoczek.
Hello, Richard. Lovely to see you again.
Great to catch up with you again. And your exhibition is Spirit and Matter at Edwina Corlett Gallery in Brisbane. And how would you say that the theme of spirit and matter is reflected in the works in this exhibition?
As much as I consider myself to be, spiritual, and the works, as is often the case, quite immersive, they're also very, can also be, I consider this has been a little bit of a foray into non-objective with, in particular, one work, Black Cross, my ode to John Nixon.
Actually, since you've mentioned Black Cross, a very specific work and a
Yes.
very strong motif amongst the body of work, just tell us a little about the importance of that piece.
Yeah, well, I mean, as you would know, and many of us would know, John Nixon sadly passed away recently, and he is an artist who had a very profound impact on me when I probably, 20 years ago, decided that I really wanted to pursue painting. It's sort of very hard to see, obviously, through mechanical reproduction, but with that work, unlike John's works, it is still quite built up, and there's lovely sort of graduation of colour in certain parts, and still that translucency and sort of layering of colour.
Looking at the body of work for this exhibition, they range from what seems to be the very specific, an object like a green tiger skin rug, through to works that are almost entirely abstract. But they all begin with your creative decisions. How do those works start when they vary so much?
Richard, like they always start with me very automatically, throwing paint down, spray painting, dripping, dropping. They always begin in that way. Never ever, I'm very process driven in that way. I never ever plan a work, but I'm on a constant mission every day, searching for images, objects that resonate with me. And I have 90,000 plus photos on my phone, which I can scroll through from start to finish many times a day. And images, beauty, they are my religion, and I'm obsessed. I have an obsessive need to constantly stimulate myself in that way. And I'm very drawn to antiquity and the decorative world, and very much love traditional arts from other cultures, and that was a rug that I'm yet to add to my collection, and it's a beautiful Tibetan silk rug, which I cut out and stuck on my studio wall. And yeah, that's usually that's always how it happens.
You mentioned your process, and in particular the building up of layers of various types of paint, and often that results in a really ethereal quality to your works with veils of colour. What is the attraction, maybe even the compulsion for you, of layer upon layer?
There's meaning in those layers. You can see there's evidence of how I've moved around the canvas, and I'm constantly turning it, and really my paintings are about time and space, and as I said, I feel that's really what affords my works that sense of history.
Sometimes with a work like Haze or a work like Embedded, we can quite clearly see the movement of your hand in the creation of those layers. But
Yep.
then another work, for example, like The Forces That Shape, it appears
Yep.
mainly to be fairly solid, but when you get up really close to it, you can see that there's a lot of paint layering and texture. So that
Yes.
layering is always there.
Yes, yeah, oh, absolutely. They can be very, very subtle, and often are very, very subtle layers of paint. And I often do start with acrylic paint because I do find it easier to layer with that. And obviously acrylic is, very flat. But yeah, and I love that with each new gaze, the viewer, will notice something new and different, and the way they will change according to the light.
The eye motif has a historic presence in your work, but it's very much in evidence in Francesco's eyes. What's the
Mm-hmm.
story with this work?
I'm such a Indianophile. Indian culture. I'm sure I was an Indian in a past life. My father was actually born in India, but to Polish parents. But I'm very, not that I've ever taken hallucinatory drugs or anything like that, but when I'm listening to, Indian music, most specifically the sitar and the tabla, and I listen to a lot of that music when I'm in the studio painting. And yes, I've been drawn to the eye motif for a long, long time. But also as I've started to paint that, it struck me how much they reminded me of Francesco Clemente's paintings and the way he would depict his subject's eyes. So yeah, that's how that title came about. But yeah, and very drawn to the sort of psychedelic. I've often enjoyed psychedelic art from the 60s. I love psychedelic rock music, which is where the title for Fat Angel came from. Jefferson Airplane, a band that I've enjoyed listening to many a time.
Quite often your bodies of work, when we've got a number of works together, like in this exhibition, they often seem to contain perhaps even quite unpredictable contrasts in form, in mark, in tone. How do you overall, though, want the viewer to respond in the midst of your work, surrounded by such variety of work?
My paintings are offerings that, are like little offerings that are to be rejected or accepted. And, every viewer is obviously going to have such a different response.
Would you say that there are new territories for you in this exhibition body of work? Is there a sense of evolution in a particular direction?
Often, I remember in the early days of my career, someone once said to me, there are so many different shows, so many different exhibitions in this one exhibition, but I'm like, I'm not interested in painting paintings that look alike. It's not a conscious thing. It's honestly just naturally how they evolve. But obviously I'm, first and foremost an abstract artist. Obviously with my ode to John Nixon, very much a non-objective painter. I really always work from my subconscious and from memory and from places I've visited. And I guess this show, there is definitely more of a focus on inside and sort of a sense of feeling contained. Home is very important to me, and that home is somewhere where you feel very nurtured. That's my home and my practice are very much intertwined. And that's that constant sort of seeking and gathering of decorative objects, art, books, furniture, rugs. It's very, very closely linked to my practice.
Well, this exhibition does literally invite us, in that case, into your home. So thank you for that invitation. And Miranda Skoczek, thanks for sharing your exhibition with us.
My pleasure, Richard. Thank you.